My name is Kimberly Gosell. I am a four-time kidney transplant recipient. I grew up with kidney disease. It runs in my family. My mother had it. While I was in junior high, my mother received a kidney transplant from my uncle and was on dialysis. So I was very familiar. So I grew up seeing it and dealing with it. In 2020 and 2000, after my daughter was born, I was diagnosed with lupus. Um, and I dealt with it, trying to stave it off, dealing with a lot of visits to rheumatologists and nephrologists. And in 2008, I was given the news that I was going to need a kidney transplant, that my CKD had progressed because I had lupus nephritis. I received my transplant in March of 2008 from my cousin, who had just happened to be in town that year. And when I announced that I needed a transplant, he said, "You can have mine, pass the turkey," basically. So we got our transplant. He was in Texas at the time and was able to get tested. And my transplant lasted until I unexpectedly lost my mom in 2011, and I had to go on dialysis. In 2014, I was able to get a transplant from my father, but it was hard because I had built up antibodies. I had high antibodies, so it took a while, and I was the first patient at UIC to receive the Solaris protocol to help for people who got transplants with high antibodies. So for 3 or 4 years, I was able to live a decent life with a new kidney. But it was in 2018 that I received the news that I was going to be needing another transplant, that my kidney had failed. So I went back onto go on to live a life of with a new transplant until February of 2020. I was diagnosed with brain cancer and was in the hospital um, dealing with brain cancer. And a host of other things happened. So while the world was dealing with COVID, I was oblivious to that because I was in the hospital from February through August. And so when I came out, I went back on home hemo because during that time of treating the brain cancer, it caused damage to my kidney. So I lost another kidney. So I did home hemo from 2020 through 2023. The difference was that while I was home, it was a better environment, but it was still exhausting. And while I was on dialysis in 2023, I got the call again, the fourth time, for another kidney. This time it was from a deceased donor. My other three were from living donors. So since 2023, I have been living with my new kidney.
All right. My name is Carrie Rubenfeld. I am in Winnipeg, Canada, and I am currently a in-center hemodialysis patient since the beginning of February of this year. And it's going reasonably well. It's a huge time commitment, 3 times a week. I was first diagnosed with chronic kidney disease in 2010. I met my nephrologist in 2011. By 2013, I began to realize I couldn't continue to work the long hours that I had been, continuing travel, etc., without making significant lifestyle changes. And I began to gradually phase out my work life or my business. By 2015, I had exited my business. At about last fall, I began feeling more ill, retaining fluid, and my activity level um, had to decline, and eventually it couldn't wait any longer, and I had to start dialysis. And dialysis did a great job getting my fluid off, and it's maintaining me and doing quite a good job. I've been able to resume travel since um, starting dialysis. I've made one trip to California. I've just come back from Eastern Canada visiting grandchildren. All the same time, continuing dialysis treatments at the remote sessions, and I hope to return to our winter home in Southern California beginning in November. I do want to comment that I credit the exercise program to holding me as long as it did away from dialysis. I was expected to go into end stage kidney failure within 3 to 5 years, and I held off for 5 years. By 2014, it was no longer possible to wait any further, and I'm now at the stage where I'm trying to get back on the transplant list. I have a living donor, a accepted donor, but it turns out I'm no longer eligible because my heart function has declined. They're still watching me, and if I can improve my heart function through both exercise and some medications, I can then be considered for a transplant.
So while I was on dialysis for 3.5 years, it was ridiculously difficult. I was exhausted all the time. I think I slept more than anything. I did in-center dialysis, and I barely had enough energy to get myself home. At that time, I was able to drive myself back and forth to and from dialysis. But I really spent my time trying to function in between my sessions. I was doing dialysis Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And my time spent between sessions was storing up enough energy to build up to have my next session. My kids were young at the time, so I was determined to still be a part of their life. So I would go to soccer games and baseball games, but which I would have to watch from the car because I didn't have enough energy to even walk to the fields. I dealt with a lot of symptoms of not only fatigue, inability to sleep, depression, and a lot of other health issues. And the hard part is that you watch yourself basically dwindle away. So my family said, and they tried to be very supportive, but I could tell I was dwindling. I was thinning out. My skin coloring was getting darker because my body was unable to remove the toxins. And so I slept a lot, and I had no energy to do anything.
Well, the greatest fatigue is immediately after treatment, and I need a rest for an hour or two. I have been able to push through it primarily with exercise, but generally I'll do my exercise on treatment days in the morning, so I don't miss. And by the next day, yesterday was a treatment day, for example. Today, Wednesday, is unusual because of the programs I've been involved in for a number of years. It's actually two 45-minute sessions. So I've been able to push through the fatigue, and I personally just feel great after the exercise.
Luckily enough, I was able to join a program where through our center, through my transplant center, that helped me with um, building up some muscle because through after having brain cancer and being in the hospital and in bed for all those 8 months, I had to learn how to walk all over again. And by joining this program, I went through a muscle therapy, which was a lifesaver, quite honestly, because you really take for granted all of the things that you know how to do and having to learn how to redo all the basics, not only walking. I couldn't get myself on and off the toilet. I couldn't get out of chairs. Um, I lost my ability to drive and I lost a lot of my self-sufficiency. But when I joined the program and I saw slow progress, but it was still progress, I went from being able to lift a 1 pound weight to 2 pound weight. And with each session, when they would add a new weight, even a half of a pound, my self-esteem started coming back. And I will be forever grateful for that. I never thought that exercise, because when we think of exercise, you think of the guys that are in the gym. But muscle therapy is different because it's taking one small body and muscle part at a time and helping not only that person physically, but giving them back their life mentally. Because in those sessions, the person that works with you gets to know you and they encourage you and they believe in you, which helps you believe in yourself. Because a lot of family members even don't understand what it means to have to rebuild and how hard it is for a person who's been through kidney disease and dialysis, just how exhausted and destroyed your body is. So in those sessions, we're also not only workout or exercise sessions, they also became therapy sessions. So for that, I will be forever grateful for the trainers that worked with me because they saw beyond my disease and they found the person that used to be in there and they helped to bring it out. So since 2023, I have been living with my new kidney and I make a conscious decision and effort to walk. I don't walk far, but I am able to walk. I still do my muscle therapy program.
How do I feel about exercise? I began saying that I believe it held me off for an additional 5 years. The strength is a very important component. When I was in college, I was quite active in competitive court sports, as well as I ran cross country, and I even lifted weights. The key for me was doing things in a group or with friends or at least one other person. Once I began working, I gradually tapered off, everything dropped off, and my focus was on my career and family. Around 2016, I noticed in one of my nephrology clinic appointments a poster put up by the local wellness institute, the Seven Oaks Wellness Institute, promoting kidney fitness program. We are fortunate in my city, a nephrologist, Dr. Bohm at Seven Oaks Hospital, initiated the kidney exercise program a number of years ago and has extended it over both areas of the city at the Seven Oaks Wellness Institute as well as the Refit Center. These are similar but separate programs run by leaders. I believe they're both 3 times a week, as is ours. And our long-term fitness instructor and leader, Emily, is with us weekly. And the other two sessions are online with Zoom. There are different levels. There is level 1 for entry-level patients, and level 2 for those of us that are been with the program for a while. Yes, my colleagues in the program are pretty much at the same stage. They're either most of them are in home dialysis and have been long-term CKD patients. And we all enjoy the program. Their partners attend, and we actually socialize together now. We go out for dinners monthly. Once again, thanks to the social worker at the dialysis unit at one of the hospitals.
When you're training a person, you have to remember that this person's life has been turned topsy-turvy, upside down, and destroyed. And you are not only helping them to build muscle mass that helps them to either recover or be able to sustain dialysis, their time on dialysis, but it also will help them, should they get that call to get a life-saving kidney, it will help them on the other side to be able to recover faster, strong, and become stronger, and have a whole new life and a whole new outlook on life. And because of that program, I have been able to maintain some semblance of physical activity, and I understand the importance of it. I think that I would tell anybody that's working with somebody who's on dialysis to really try and put yourself in their shoes as much as you can, and understand that they really, really would like to be able to work out, but you're not able to see that when you're in that moment. So be patient, be kind, be understanding, be encouraging, and just help them understand and see the person that they can become. You are part of changing and saving lives. And you are the reason that they will be able to go back to becoming a fully functioning, contributing member to their family and to society. So you're making a big difference. So just be patient and know that.
Yes. Number 1, remember, change is difficult. I didn't realize how difficult it was until I had to make lifestyle changes or have very adverse effects back in 2010 through 14. Change is slow. For me, what works best is a group working at a set schedule, having a class with an organized leader, whether in person or a Zoom session. After a while, perhaps after a few months, the group will become familiar to you with each other, and checking in with each other, even without an instructor, helps us keep us returning and maintaining friendly motivation among each other. Rule number 1, remember, avoid pain. No pain. There cannot be anything that hurts in your exercise routine. Exercise should not hurt. The changes will happen. They are imperceptible, and it's slow, but there will be changes. You will gain strength. You will improve cardio efficiency. This is a journey, not a race.